What's going on, people? Welcome back to On The Ball and welcome back to another Premier League prediction show where we predict every single Premier League result in this next round of fixtures. Ben is still away from us, so I'm going to be going through all our predictions just by myself, but doesn't mean we stop. We never stop. So the prediction show works like this. If you're new around here, we predict every single scoreline going into the game's Premier League round of predictions. If you get a completely correct scoreline, you get 5 points. If you just get a correct result, it's 1 point. And we both pick a star man. Once you pick that man, you cannot pick them again for the rest of the season. And if they score a goal, you get 5 points. If they make an assist, you get 2 points. And let's get straight into predictions. First up, we go to Kenilworth Road. Luton take on Chelsea in what is the early kickoff on Saturday. I've gone for 1-0 to Luton. Ben has gone for 2-1 to Luton. So we're both expecting Luton to turn Chelsea over here. I know Chelsea got a really good win against Palace in midweek. Luton themselves turned up the form books with a really great result away at Sheffield United. But Luton have been very difficult to beat at Kenilworth Road. Really, really difficult to play against. They haven't lost by more than a goal, I think, all season. The last home game they did have was against Newcastle, where they won 1-0. And I do think this is the type of game against a side who are full of fight, full of energy, full of aggression, and make things really difficult for the opposition to play, is where Chelsea tend to struggle. And I do see Chelsea going to Kenilworth Road, facing a low block, really struggling to create chances here. And I think Luton will hurt them from set pieces, will use their opportunities to hurt Chelsea when they can. And I can see Chelsea getting turned over. I can see Luton nicking a goal, and I can see Chelsea ending the game really frustrated. So I've gone 1-0. And the interesting thing here is Chelsea at the moment, they're 10 points clear of the relegation zone, but if they do lose, does make things a bit scary for them when they start looking down at the bottom three. But look, I'm predicting Chelsea to lose. I'm still not convinced by what I'm seeing from them, even though they won in midweek. So I'm going for a Luton win here, 1-0. Ben goes for 2-1. Let's go to Villa Park. Burnley travel to Villa Park. So Aston Villa face Burnley there. I've gone for 2-0. Ben's gone for 3-1. So both gone for convincing Villa wins. Definitely need to get back to winning ways after two really poor results for them. Losing 3-2 away to Man United when they're 2-0 up, and drawing 1-1 at home to Sheffield United would be very frustrating. Burnley's performances have been improving slightly of late. They did get a draw 1-1 away at Brighton not so long ago, and they did beat Fulham away as well. So their away performances have been a bit more, a bit improving. So something to cling on to when going away at Villa. But Villa, unbeaten at home for the whole season, still very difficult to play against, still so good going forward against teams like Burnley. I can't see Burnley's defence standing up to scrutiny, unlike maybe what Sheffield United's defence did, albeit their defence away from home has been a bit better. I know Villa have had a disappointing last 2 games, but I do expect them to come back, to get back to winning ways at home to Burnley here. So I've gone for 2-0. So both expecting Villa to get back to winning ways here. Let's move on to Selhurst Park. Palace face Brentford. We've both gone for 2-1 victories, and Palace, albeit they haven't won in 7 games now, so the pressure is really piling on Roy Hodgson. The fans are calling for him to leave. They're calling for him to get sacked. They're calling for a bit of hope to get injected back into Palace this season. Brentford as well, on the back of 4 consecutive defeats. Maybe Thomas Frank is feeling a bit of pressure, albeit no one's really saying it. But the form, they are sliding down the table. That's got to be a concern. I do think Palace will shade it. Eze and Olise back in the side. They seem to be linking up together quite nicely. I don't think they've been putting in some great performances. They did put in a good performance against Liverpool and Man City, but I think overall their performance level is still a lot to be desired. But I do think, with the pressure on Roy Hodgson, I think these players are going to get a really big result. They're going to bring out a really big result for him. So I think Palace are just going to shade this 2-1, and they're going to get a result to relieve a bit of the pressure of Roy Hodgson. It will pile the pressure on Thomas Frank, though, and that will be 5 defeats in a row if they do lose that game. So definitely food for thought for Brentford, who are definitely really sliding down the table and are definitely at risk of getting dragged into that relegation battle. Next up, we go to the Etihad. Man City plays Sheffield United. I've gone for 3-0. Ben's gone for 2-0. So not as convincing as I have. I think Man City will turn over Sheffield United here. I'm sure Sheffield United will sit deep and try and make things difficult, but Man City at home, I just think will have way too much for Sheffield United here. I do expect them to come flying out the traps, and I do expect them to take all 3 points. Even though Erling Haaland is set to miss out yet again, I do think even if Man City play a false 9, that will ask different kind of questions for Sheffield United, and I don't think they'll have the quality to handle it. I do think Man City will get more than 2 goals. I do see them getting that third one, and I do see it being a convincing victory for Man City. Sheffield United, it's going to be very difficult for them to go there and get anything. I'm expecting their game plan to see if they can nick a point, sit very deep, try and frustrate Man City. But for me, as soon as that deadlock is broken, I see Sheffield United struggling to contain City. So I've gone for 3-0 there. Next up, we go to the Molineux. Wolves take on Everton. I've gone for 3-1 to Everton. Ben has gone for 1-1. Everton just have a very good away form, and they're playing very well at the moment. They gave Man City a really good game. They gave Spurs a really good game. Really unlucky to come away with those 2 games with 2 consecutive defeats. Wolves, on the other hand, in a weird way, if this was away from home, I would be more inclined to think Wolves might get a result. But at home, the impetus is going to be a bit on Wolves to come out and try and win the game and try and attack Everton. And I think that's going to play right into Everton's hands. I think they're playing really well. They're playing this really aggressive, high-pressing style. And I can see Wolves really struggling to live with this Everton team the way they're playing at the moment. And with 2 teams who prefer to play on the counter-attack, I think that suits the away side. So I've gone for Everton to win this game 3-1. But Ben can't split them, so he has gone for 1-1 in this game. Going to the City ground, Nottingham Forest play Man United. Nuno Espirito Santos Forest at home here. I've gone for 2-1 to Nottingham Forest. Ben has gone for 2-2, so both thinking that Man United won't win this game. And I just look at Forest, buoyed by what was a fantastic victory at St James's Park, and seeing the performance level in the past 2 games under Nuno since the new manager's come in, they look a lot fresher, a lot sharper, a lot more energetic, and I think Man United are facing them at the wrong time. I know Man United did turn things around against Villa and got that win, but I'm still not convinced they're going to go to the City ground and get a victory in this one. I see them really struggling, to be honest, getting control of this game. I see Forest being very aggressive. I see Forest making things very, very difficult for this Man United side. And Man United are good in the transition, but I feel like Forest are not going to let them play that transitional game. And they're going to be sitting deep. They're going to wait for their opportunities to attack. I can really see Elanga coming back to haunt Man United in this game. He's in really fine form, and I think Man United are going to have a lot of possession, but they're not going to be able to break down this Forest side, and I can see Forest really exploiting this Man United side. So I've gone for 2-1, but Ben thinks Man United will be worth a point here with a 2-2 draw, but I've gone for a Forest victory. I think they're buoyed right now with Nuno at the helm, and I think they're going through a bit of a honeymoon period with Nuno, so I've gone for them to get the victory. Next up at Craven Cottage, Fulham face Arsenal. I've gone for 2-0 to Arsenal. Ben's gone for 1-0. Fulham, after a temporary uptick in form, are now off the back of 3 consecutive defeats. I'm not sure if Jimenez is back for this game. I think he's got one more suspension, so I still see them lacking threat. I don't see them really being able to hurt this Arsenal side. Arsenal, for me, their form in terms of performances haven't been great. I do see them maybe going into this game low on confidence a bit, but I think their defense is going to be good enough to keep Fulham away, and I just think they're going to have too much quality going forward to prevent Fulham again getting anything out of the game. I think they'll be able to score, and I think Fulham will struggle to get anything over the line here in this one. I don't expect Fulham to cause Arsenal much trouble going forward. I do expect Arsenal to dominate, and I think they will have too much quality for Fulham on the day. So I've gone for 2-0 to Arsenal. Ben's only gone for 1-0 though. He thinks they're only going to scrape it. And we go to the Tottenham Stadium. They face Bournemouth at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Interestingly, we've both gone for 2-2. Both Spurs fans here not expecting Spurs to beat Bournemouth. Bournemouth coming into this game in flying form. 8 wins in their last 10 games. Full of confidence. They're absolutely flying going forward as well. Scoring goals for fun. And I do expect Bournemouth to really come into this game in fine form and give Tottenham a really tough game. Tottenham, come into this game with yet another suspension. No Dejan Kulusevski, 2 fullbacks playing at centre-back as well. I can see them really struggling to contain this Bournemouth side and really struggling for control. I do think with the forward line that Tottenham have, they will have, especially with home advantage, I do think they'll have enough to cause Bournemouth a lot of trouble going forward and create chances. But I just think going the other way, Bournemouth, the way they're playing at the moment, they're going to create, they're going to be full of confidence, and even Tottenham pushing up, I can't see Spurs being able to keep Bournemouth at bay here. With Solanke in flying form, they've got some really good wingers in Tavernier and Semenyo as well. Alex Scott really coming into his own in central midfield as well. So I really see Tottenham struggling to contain Bournemouth given the circumstances they're under. So I have gone for 2-2 here, and so has Ben. So we're expecting Tottenham to drop yet more points here at home to Bournemouth. But if they do get a win, I'll be very, very happy. On to Anfield, Liverpool face Newcastle and what's going to be a very interesting game at Anfield. I've gone for 3-1 to Liverpool. Ben's gone for 2-0. Look, Newcastle are just on their feet at the moment. They're really struggling for numbers. They're struggling for energy. And I think it's something that Liverpool will have. I think Liverpool, in terms of the injury front, they're doing really, really well. They've got a lot of players available. They can change things to freshen things up. And I think they're going to be able to do that. I think they're going to have more energy than Newcastle. I think they're just going to press them into oblivion. And I can see Newcastle really struggled to beat Liverpool's press, and I think Liverpool are just going to hound Newcastle into submission here. I think they're going to suffocate them. I think they're going to have too much in the forward line. I think Newcastle are going to really struggle to contain Liverpool. I do think Newcastle will have their moments on the counter, but when I look back in terms of how many chances are going to be at either end, I just see Liverpool creating way more than Newcastle. And I think Newcastle, they're low on confidence at the moment. They need to show something, though, because they are on a really alarming run of form. 2 wins in their last 8 games. But Liverpool, top of the league at the moment, they're going to fight tooth and nail to keep that position. Klopp knows what it means to be in that position as well. He's been there many, many times before. And I think he's got the mentality to keep them there. So I'm going for a Liverpool 3-1 victory. Going on to Tuesday, again, at West Ham play Brighton at the Olympic Stadium. I've gone for a 3-1 victory to West Ham. Ben's gone for 2-1. And again, I just see Brighton. I know they had a brilliant win against Spurs in midweek, and it was a fantastic performance, and they really had a lot of energy, and they pressed Spurs into oblivion. But I think Spurs played into their hands. I think Spurs came at Brighton, and Brighton were able to just play through their press and pick them off, and Tottenham were off it, and Brighton took advantage. West Ham are going to be a completely different threat, different animal. They're going to frustrate Brighton. They're going to completely stop Brighton playing football, and I think West Ham really have the forward players to exploit Brighton's backline. I don't think Brighton are great defensively. I think we saw that at the end of their game against Spurs as well, where they conceded 2 goals, and it could have been more on another day as well. And despite the fact that they were dazzling going forward, they were definitely open in the back. And I think if they're that open against West Ham, I don't think West Ham are going to give up as many chances as Spurs are. I see West Ham really clogging up the central areas, making it very difficult for Brighton to play through them, and I think it's going to be a very frustrating day for Brighton. And I see West Ham continuing their good form. I think this is a perfect kind of game for West Ham, where they sit deep, soak up the pressure, and with the likes of Bowen and Kudus, hit Brighton where it hurts, and I see them coming away for the victory. I'm going for 3-1 to West Ham. Bennett's going for 2-1. Lastly, we go with the star men. I have gone for Ollie Watkins. Ben has gone for Leon Bailey for the star men in this one, both at home to Burnley. So I'm expecting Ollie Watkins to be getting chances in this one. I do think Villa will be able to create chances. Burnley's defence isn't the best. At home as well, they've got great home form. I've gone for Ollie Watkins. Ben has gone for an inform Leon Bailey, who's probably set to start in this one. So going to be the tale of 2 Aston Villa attackers. Who is going to be more on form? I'm betting on Watkins. Ben's betting on Bailey. Let me know in the comment section below what your predictions are going into this game. But that is all we have time for. Like, subscribe, and comment, and we'll see you next time.